Hello and welcome. Before we begin, I'd like to apologize because today's episode is going to be a noisy one. Because it's a public holiday, the kids are home, they're watching Cartoon Network, wifey is home, so it's a full house. Anyway, today, what we're going to be talking about is advertising, particular advertising on Facebook, advertising on Instagram, advertising on Meta. Now, for those of you who have been listening for a very long time, you know that I talk about this thing from time to time. But I keep repeating these things because there's always someone who is discovering the podcast today. This is the person's first time of listening to the podcast episode. So for you, you've heard it a few times, three, four times. But for this person, they're hearing it for the first time. And so it's for the benefit of these people that I keep talking about these sorts of things over and over again. Because it's important and they need to know. So, there are lots of you who are trying to advertise on Instagram, trying to advertise on Facebook, trying to advertise on LinkedIn, on wherever it is that you're trying to advertise on. But this conversation that we're going to have, we're coming at it from a much more principled perspective. So it's going to apply whatever platform it is that you intend to use. Okay, so obviously this is a sales podcast. So, if you're going to be advertising, the kind of advertising that I have in mind in today's episode is, how do I put it, more revenue based advertising. Let me put it that way. Now, there are two forms of advertising. There's advertising that people do, which is brand advertising. Well, the idea behind brand advertising is just that you want people to see, that you exist and, you're there in the market. You want to stay top of mind. You don't necessarily want people to buy from you right now. So there are lots of people who what they do is lots of brand advertising. So Coca-Cola is one of those businesses. Coke advertises, but the advertising is never buy now, buy today, buy tomorrow, sign up for this newsletter, do this, do this. The advertising is always brand advertising. They don't want us to forget that Coca-Cola is out there in the market, and so they keep pumping our advertising. The idea being that, one day when somebody's thirsty enough and you go to a shop and you open the fridge, you're going to look past Biggie, Coke, Fanta, and all those things and then pick up Coke. So it's the same thing with Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz is not doing any advertising that says buy now. Mercedes-Benz doesn't say buy the C300 now, buy the AMG something now, buy this, buy that. They just keep advertising, showing the cars, showing the logos, in the hopes that one day young boys like me will grow up and have a bit of cash and then buy a Mercedes Benz because we don't see the advert from T right from when we were small. The same thing with BMW brand advertising. So there are lots of people who are doing brand advertising. Now the mistake that some of you make is because you have been seeing Coca-Cola, Mercedes-Benz, and all these big boys and girls doing brand advertising, when you're ready to advertise, you now start doing brand advertising. But it's a problem, especially if you're in the SME space. You're just brand new. When you're brand new, brand advertising, no, they pay at all. Because when you're brand new, what you're looking for is revenue. What you're looking for is money. You're trying to get this thing going. And brand advertising doesn't bring in money today. Brand advertising brings in money sometime in the future, in the far future. With brand advertising, you're just trying to build a brand, and it's a mistake because I've done it before when I was in the event space, creating stuff, no clear call to action, no clear next step, no clear whatever about what it is that I'm selling. I'm just running advertisements on Facebook. I just build brand. The problem is building a brand works in the future, doesn't work for today. And while you're paying for advertising today, because definitely Zuckerberg must collect his money from you. While you're paying for the advertising today, money is going out, nothing is coming in, there's lots of pressure, and then you now think about killing your advertising campaign, which makes your brand advertising it makes it ineffective. Because the reason why brand advertising works is precisely because it is sustained for a very long period of time. So Coca-Cola has been advertising doing brand-based advertising since before I was born. I don't know when they started, but I can assure you this thing has been going on for over 50 years. They haven't stopped. No break, no comma, no nothing. Same thing with Mercedes-Benz. They've been advertising, brand advertising, since God knows when. I don't know how long, but I can assure you they've been doing brand advertising for over 50 years. BMW, over 50 years. They go like that, steady, every year. Brand advertising, brand advertising, brand advertising. This campaign, another campaign, another campaign. That's why it works, because it's sustained over a long period of time. So, if you're an SME, small and medium scale, or micro business, and you're coming in, you want to do brand advertising, you advertise for 2 months and then you stop. Guy, you've wasted your money. Madam, sir, babe, whoever is listening, you have wasted your money. You advertise for 2 months and you stop. You have wasted your money. So, a lot of you who are trying to get into the advertising game at this stage, and you're brand new, you're a small and medium scale, or you're a micro enterprise, what you should be looking at is advertising ideas that are built around revenue. So, direct response or other forms of advertising where you're trying to sell something now, trying to get somebody to download something now, because hopefully if they download the thing and if they like it, then they'll send you a DM and say how much and you might close the sale. So you're sending people to a specific product, you're sending people to a specific venue, you're sending people to a specific item, you're sending people to a specific something, a specific next clear step that should start a chain reaction that will end in them transferring you money, or end with them, sliding into your DM or picking up the phone to say, oh, how far are you available? Do you ship to Kano? Do you have it in blue? Do you, stuff like that. So that's the first mistake a lot of you are making. You want to do advertising, and when they run brand campaign. Sorry, one moment. Okay, sorry about that. Like I said, it's a public holiday. The kids are home, and they needed my attention on a few things. Okay, so that's the first mistake that some of you are making. You guys are doing brand advertising. There's no clear call to action. There's no do this next. There's no go here, go there, transfer this, sign up for 50% discount, do this, do that. None of that. You're making a very big mistake. This is the early days. This is the beginning. You need revenue. You need money. Brand-based advertising, no go help. Not for today. Then, when you are in the position that you can do sustained brand advertising, remember I said sustained, you will have to do it for a very, very, very long time, because that's the way it works. If you're doing brand advertising and you start in January, you stop in July, you have wasted your time. If you're trying to create the strong associations that all the big boys and girls have done, Transcorp, Hilton, Coca-Cola, Mercedes-Benz, Eleganza, what else? You name the company. They don't do start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. They start and they keep it running. So, that's the first one. Now, number 2, you're advertising on Facebook. You agree that you're going to start. Now, by the way, these principles apply whether Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever. Okay, let me not talk about TikTok because I don't know TikTok. I never opened an advertising account in TikTok, so let me close my mouth on that one. So when you're advertising online and revenue is what you're running after, meaning you want Naira and Kobo, the most important thing you have to pay attention to is your targeting criteria. Targeting criteria just means this. When you're running these advertisements on these online platforms, this is what is going to happen. Okay, to understand what's happening, let's go back to the good old days before the internet. And by the way, my mom was an advertising exec, marketing and advertising executive a long time ago before she retired. So I know how this world works, how it used to work back in the day. You'd go to an agency, you would discuss with the agency, they would come up with a creative, then they would decide on which newspaper, which magazine, which radio station, which TV station. Well, back in those days, there weren't too many options anyway, because like when I was a teenager, there was NTA, that one is steady, Nigerian Television Authority, across all the states. Then Lagos had a few private stations, There was Channels TV, there was Clapperboard, there was OG TV. I think that's Ogun TV or something. Then there was what else? AIT. Okay, AIT came out when I was in like I think I was like SS1. That's when AIT came out, Africa Independent Television. Then where again? So not too many media outlets. Definitely no private TV in Abuja by that time. No private TV station in Abuja by that time. None. Zero. So human beings would decide this is the creative, this is the copy, we'll put it here, we'll put it here, we'll put it here. And human beings would make that decision based on the greatest how do I put it now? They were just basically making guesstimates, thinking that okay, if we're trying to reach these people and we go to this TV station or we go to this newspaper, we stand a higher chance of attracting these kinds of people, those kinds of people. Now that we place adverts online, it's the same process. The difference is just that instead of human beings making the decision, it is now computer algorithms and software that make the decision. So when you pay Zuckerberg money and you run the advertisement, it actually is an algorithm that is, deciding who should I show it to, what time should I show it to them, stuff like that. Now, because this thing is an algorithm, you have to give it very clear instructions. Show it to these kinds of people and not this. Show it to people who live here and not there. Show it to people who are this old and not this young. Or show it to people who like these sorts of things, but not that. So you have to be very, very clear. So one of the reasons why advertising campaigns fail online is because people are running advertising campaigns, but your targeting criteria is weak. You're not telling the algorithm, show it to this person, but not this person. Show it to people here, but not here. Show it to people who like this, but not that. And that is where the campaign starts to fail. Because let's say you're in the business of selling human hair and you run your advertisement. But unfortunately, or rather, let's say fortunately, good for you, the advert is seen by 1 million people. Remember, you sell human hair. But if 80% of the people who saw it are like me, middle-aged Nigerian men who are bald, then I'm sorry, you're not going to make much money from it. Because you sell human hair and extensions, but the people who saw it are middle-aged Nigerian men who are bald. So therefore, nothing for you, no money. So that's the first thing we have to look at when we are coming up with the advertising campaign, our targeting criteria. And that's one mistake that a lot of you are going to make. You want to run your advertising campaign and you tell an online marketer, oh yeah, run advertising for me. But you do not sit down with the person to say, bros, oh yeah, which one is the targeting criteria? You should do that. You should have a look at it, and you should have very firm opinions that no, show it to this person, not this person. Show it to this location, not this location. Because you are the specialist. If you've been listening to this podcast for the last 2-3 weeks, you're very familiar with me saying you're the product market specialist. Yes, you are the specialist in your own product. So you definitely have a valid point of view to say, no, don't show it to these kinds of people. Show it to these kinds of people because I know my customers and I know my product. The reason why we're looking at this today is because for one of my clients who's in the tech space, coming up with a tech-enabled product, the advertising guy thought it was a good idea to include Ghana and Kenya in the advertising. Ghana and Kenya. Meanwhile, this is a Nigerian company selling a Nigerian tech-enabled product. Now, of course, Ghana and Kenya, definitely people can buy. But this is the early days. This is the beginning. The company is brand new. Have they sorted out cross-border payments? What is the whole point of people in Ghana and people in Kenya seeing the advertisement if they cannot pay for the product? That's a waste of money. You feel me? This is the reason why if you're going to bring me in to consult for you, to train your company, things like that, people are getting ready to run advertising campaigns, you're hoping to bring in some money. This is the reason why I say, before you run this thing, let me see. Because unfortunately, lots of Nigerian business owners, self-employed people, CEO, founder, whatever, you people are letting other people run your advertising campaigns. You know they choke eye for the matter. You're not looking. And because of that, some very silly mistakes are happening. The advert is being seen by people in Ghana and Kenya. Meanwhile, your customers no deal for Ghana, they no deal for Kenya. So what's the point? Wasted money. So I told the guy, okay, targeting criteria, these Nigerian cities, no wahala. But this Ghana and Kenya, I beg, remove this thing. And everybody agreed. To be honest, how Ghana and Kenya ended up on the list, I don't know. So, targeting, geography is one of the things you pay attention to. My customers, where are they? If you're Nigerian based, you sell infrastructure stuff, you're based in Lagos, and yes, you can deliver to Maiduguri, but because of that, you have to add logistics cost and things like that. Then perhaps maybe people in Maiduguri should not see your advertising because the quote that you will give will be uncompetitive. It will be too high. It will be cheaper for people to just buy from whoever is in Maiduguri. So perhaps if you're in the infrastructure space, you dig boreholes, you install solar, you provide scaffolding for building for construction sites, things like that. Perhaps if you're based in Lagos, let your advertising be seen only by people who are based in Lagos, maybe people who are based in Ogun, maybe people who are in Ibadan. If you want to go far, maybe Ile-Ife. But keep it around where you can reach reasonably so that the cost of your product or your service will not be uncompetitive. So targeting, geography is key. If you've made this mistake before, see, if you've run advertising campaigns before online and you have never even checked with your advertising guy before they ran the campaign.com, who self is seeing this thing? Which parts of the world are they seeing this thing? Perhaps this is the reason why you didn't get the results that you wanted from your advertising campaign. Check the geography in your targeting criteria. So, apart from Ghana and Kenya, the guy in the advertising campaign put major cities in Nigeria. This is a mistake. Remember, my client is in the software space, the tech space. The product is tech enabled. In theory, since it's software, since it's tech, people from any part of Nigeria can buy a B. But this is the problem. When you put major cities, all major cities in Nigeria, this is what will happen. Lafia is going to show up there. Lafia is a town in Nasarawa State. We pass through Lafia before we get to my place. I'm from Benue State. Makudi will show up in the advertising. Because, of course, Makudi is the capital of where I'm from. So, excuse me. Lots of towns like this are going to show up in the advertising campaign. But herein lies the problem. Yes, it's software. So geography is not a problem. But because it's software and it's a tech-enabled thing, and we think that people who live in tech hubs in Nigeria will be interested in it, do we think it is a good idea for people in Lafia, for people in Akwanga, for people in Makudi to be seeing this advertisement when we do not think that people from this place are going to buy because there are no tech hubs there? There are no software incubators there, no business incubators there. So do we think that's a good idea? Probably not. Now, excuse me, if your business was agriculture and export oriented now, okay, that's a different thing. Because we have farmers in those communities who produce in large scale to sell off to people who are trying to aggregate supply, to buy from farmers in aggregate, then take it to Lagos and then process it and then export it. So if you're in the agri space, okay, then it makes sense for people in Akwanga, people in Makudi, and people in Lafia to be seeing these sorts of things. Before your marketing person hits, send or hits run or hits execute or whatever on the advertising campaign, sit down and have a chat with this person. So for my client, all I did was I told the marketer, like, look, we need to look at the targeting criteria. The person said, sure, not a problem. And he created a simple Microsoft Word document with everything there. We now had a meeting. We sat down and we said, okay, oh yeah, leave this one, include this one. And then there were some that were up for debate because, my specialty is sales. I don't know everything. So there were some that I had to say that, look, is this reasonable? And then they had to educate me that, oh no, this one actually is reasonable. I said, okay, no problem. Leave them there. But you must always sit down and have this conversation with someone. Who are we showing this advertising to? Which people? Which sex? Men or women? Which location? North, south, east, north, central, middle belt? What kind of occupations? What kind of interests? We have to ask all these questions. These are the things that will determine whether our advertising campaign is successful or not. Then the final thing that we discussed was lookalike audiences. And the idea behind lookalike audiences is this. Now remember, I've spoken about this earlier, that the way online advertising works is you're trying to make some money, but the thing that is deciding where the advertising campaign will be shown is an algorithm. It's a computer. It's software. It's not a real live living person. So sometimes the algorithm can learn from other things that you have online, can learn about who else to show it to. Now, one of those categories is what we call lookalike audiences. Lookalike audiences just means this. You tell the algorithm that, look, anybody that is interested in this and this and that, show this the advertising to someone as well. So, let's say I'm running a campaign. I want to sell my thing is a luxury item. I can put there, okay, that lookalike audiences. I say anybody will like Mercedes-Benz, show this advertisement to them. Or anybody will like BMW, show them. Anybody will like Maybach, show them. Anybody will like Ferrari, show them. That is lookalike audience. Any audience that looks like this, good. Show other people this advertisement. They might like it as well. Now, lookalike audiences, not a bad idea. Because remember, this is not an exact science. It's a guesstimate. Now try with a try. It's guesswork, educated guesswork. But as you run the campaigns and as things work, you realize, oh, this worked, let's continue. This one didn't work, let's stop it. So it's just normal. That's just advertising. So for the lookalike audiences, the marketer selected Instagram. He also selected website visitors. Now, ordinarily, it's not a bad idea, but the reason why I told them to take it off is this. People who normally browse, one or two things on Instagram, sometimes it's hit and miss. You start on the video and like, oh, I know even by doing this thing itself, I don't really like this thing, and then they move on. The same thing with website traffic. People land on the website, they bounce. So we will not get some very clean indicators as to the quality of people. But then there was an option there that the guy left, which was a video, and I said, okay, good. That video will be good for lookalike audiences because when people watch video, it's a different thing. If somebody starts the video now, within 2 seconds, they don't like them, they just close it. But by the time somebody watches, 50%, 75% of the video, we're getting some how do I put it, good signs, some good indications that they actually like what it is that they saw. So if you're going to use people's responses to video as a lookalike audience, okay, that might be a good one. Because people who watch the video, 50%, 40%, 75%, or 100%, 95%, might be a key indicator that they are interested in the product or in the service. So, as lookalike audience, no problem. We can keep that one like that. So, I've kept you all here for 30 minutes. So, let me just bring this episode to a close. Now, have you noticed, even though we spoke about advertising, we didn't talk about it in a very structured kind of way today. And that's because these are ideas that have come from me looking over one of my clients' advertising campaigns. So the reason why they have paid me and engaged my services is because they're running the advertising campaign. And when the advertising campaign starts to work, they want to make sure that I am live and I'm on ground to make sure that the team is converting well. Now, for the people who respond to the advertising campaign, that they're going to be able to get customers from that. So that's the reason why me talking about online advertising today, I'm limiting it to specific areas because these were the specific areas that I discussed on behalf of my client. But I hope it has been useful for some of you who are listening today and are considering how to advertise online, especially if you're going to be doing this for the first time. For those of you who've even done the advertising before, it's not a problem. You still learn one or two things. So that's it, and that's all for today. If you'd love to connect with me, you can call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. If you want me to look at your sales processes or any part of your business frameworks, it's the same number. You can call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. So that's it, and that's all for today. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you all some other time.